But there's different elements to every team in every season. We've got a lot of the same players returning. They have had experiences from last season that will help them this year. But it's still a new season, and it's a new challenge. You can never just rest that you've had a so-called decent season the year before. Our goal isn't just to make the playoffs, and it's not easy to make the playoffs. It's not a given that you did it one year, you're just going to do it the next year. We're going to have to come back and be a better team, and have improvements in our game.
When you look at your roster, where do you envision the biggest areas of competition being during this training camp?
I think you can look right throughout our lineup. We've got good players in every position that are going to battle for ice time, whether it's jobs on the team or ice time within the game. You could talk about goaltending, defense, and forwards. All three spots, I think there's going to be healthy competition. Players pushing from below and players pushing each other on the team.
A lot of people from a distance are looking at the top right wing spot, who could be playing alongside Tim Stutzel on that first line. How confident are you guys that role can be filled internally with the players you have?
Very confident.
Fabian Zetterlund, Claude Giroux, do you have an idea as to who can play in that spot?
Well, not just those two guys. No, all joking aside, it's I know, that's the exciting thing about training camp. I've got an idea, but of who could be, much like you do. You're naming a couple guys, but ultimately it'll be up to the players. They're going to decide who's going to play there. Probably a few guys will get a look, and it's guys that play the best will play in that spot. I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
Who was the top performer at fitness camp this morning, training camp?
Haven't seen the numbers yet. I just got them. I might have an idea, but we'll maybe share them.
Was there somebody who was most improved?
Our whole team's in great shape. There's not a guy that didn't come in that was in phenomenal shape. If there's one thing that our guys understand, that conditioning's a big part of the game, big part of what we want in our players. Training camp's always a hard time of year, and it's not like, I don't know, back, people hear stories about when guys come in just to get in shape. It doesn't work that way anymore. We've got a very dedicated team that, we've challenged our players to come back better. And part of that is the work that you put in the summer, and that you come in better shape, stronger, more improved hockey player than you were the year before.
Maybe for you as a coach, last season you came in and spoke a lot about the defensive principles, trying to instill it. What's maybe the message to the group this year? Is it similar, different? Just what's your approach?
Well, I think there's still areas that we can get better. I know, there's a buzz about us being better offensively. I think we can produce more goals, chances, 5-on-5. I think that's part of it. I think there's certain parts of our defensive game that still have to improve as well. If you want to win and be a really good team in the league, you don't just concentrate on being good defensively or offensively. You're a good 200-foot team. And, we'll continue to look to improve both sides of the puck.
Question for Steve. The 5 players who were found not guilty of the sexual assault trial will be eligible to play December 1st. Alex Formenton is part of this organization. What's the status of him in the club moving forward?
I've engaged in discussions with the agent, and I think both sides agree that it would be best for everybody for a fresh start for Alex.
So that means not with this organization?
Correct.
Did you speak to Alex, by the way?
I did not.
Just how familiar are you with Jordan Spence as a player, and what do you think he can bring to this team?
Well, I've watched him play a little bit in LA. Watched game tape before and after we traded for him. He's a good puck mover. I like that he's come from a system that really values being on both sides of the puck, playing on both sides of the puck with LA. And, I think he's going to help us move the puck. He's a committed player as well. He understands that it's not just about offense either, and yet he can create from the backside as well.
Do you think he can, we talk about improving offensively, I think he has something that will help you take a next step
Yeah, he's a good puck-moving defenseman. He's got a good vision on the ice. I don't necessarily think it's just going to come down to adding players either. I think there's some things that we can do a little bit different that are going to help our offensive game.
Obviously, his play will dictate it through camp, but how realistic are Carter Yakimchuk's chances of cracking the roster?
I think for the first time in a long time here, there's real competition. And Carter's continued to grow and develop. And I think you can look at his season last year in the WHL and be a little bit misled by the point totals, but there are certain areas of his games that he started to round out and pay more attention to. And it's always difficult for an offensive guy, that talented of an offensive player at that level, because that's really what you gravitate to, because you can dominate the game at that level. So we were pleased with his progression. I think, speaking of committed, he has taken a big step off the ice with his training and his strength and conditioning. So we'll see where it's at. I mean, there's always that question about the young player and putting him in the best position to be successful. So we'll keep that all in mind. But as far as realistic, like Travis said, we have real competition at camp this year.
Why do you have, why do you have so much confidence in this group?
The character of the group, they showed, I think you could see the evolution of this group, that they showed that they played for one another. This core group, we talked about internal growth. They all took a step forward. The veterans that we've surrounded them with are committed. I like the character of this group. They've been challenged. They rise up to the occasion. They took a step forward next year, and we're excited to see that next step. And they know it's going to be hard. And we don't have to remind them. And I believe with the work that they put in last year, and the character of the group, the leadership, that's what I want to see, and that's the belief in it. And so when you make the additions that you do strategically in certain areas to create some competition and some depth, we feel good about starting the season with this group and seeing where they're at.
What are you hoping for out of Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund? You get them both at the deadline, and maybe it takes them a little bit more time to settle. Now they'll start the season on your team. What are you hoping from them, those two particular players, ahead of camp and the rest of the season?
Well, I think, we're hoping that they're going to come back and be better players, much like we've challenged the rest of our group. I thought they both played well for us. They came in and gave us a shot. I think, when you're a young player and you get traded for the first time, that is different. The first time you get traded is always a little bit different. New surroundings, new teammates. And I thought they both played well. I thought Fabian could have scored more. He was snake bitten a little bit. Had lots of chances. He brings an element of speed and strength, and we do believe there's more goal scoring there. And Dylan is, he's still a young guy too, growing into himself as a player. But I do believe they both worked extremely hard this summer to be ready to get out of the gate and be better for us than they were last year, much like the rest of the team.
Sorry to cut you off. Specifically with Dylan, what are your impressions of his play away from the puck, particularly defensively?
I like it. I think he's smart. I think he's a good two-way centerman. I think he was learning a lot under, at a very crucial moment of the season, and played well. I think he's going to feel more comfortable this season. He's going to understand our systems better. And again, I know he's put in a lot of work this summer to improve as well. And that's a big part of our team getting better, is our younger players improving in the NHL. I don't know if you can look through, you could probably list off 14, 15 guys that have they maxed out in what they are as a player in the league. And there's a lot of them that haven't.
Maybe a bit broader of a question, but how do you feel your team as a whole has responded to the challenge of being better and improving internally ahead of the new season?
Well, we haven't been on the ice yet, but just from what I've seen and having discussions over the summer, talking with our strength conditioning trainers, they feel really good about where our team is at, where our players are at, and in my conversations with our group and players, there's no gray area. They know what was expected, but they're enthusiastic about doing it as well. It's not like you have to hammer away at them to work. They want to improve. They want to get better. They know that it's not a given that you just make the playoffs and you come back, but we're not here just to make the playoffs either. We're here to do a lot more than that.
Travis, it's also well documented just how tough your training camps are now that the players, a lot of them have been through one. Are you going to up the ante this year?
It's going to be hard. Training camp's hard. I think it should be. You got to get yourself ready. You can skate all you want in the summer. No one's hitting you in the summer. You're not fighting through checks. You're not paying attention to little details that really matter that go into winning and losing. It's definitely not going to be easier, but we're going to be demanding. We want to challenge our players. We want to help them improve, and part of helping a player improve is getting him outside his comfort zone and challenging him to be better, and it's kind of how we coach.
Just a question for you, what was the toughest training camp you ever went to, and did you take something from that and apply it here?
Man, I don't know. I felt like training camp was hard every year.
How do you score more goals, Travis?
You get that little black thing, you get it across the line.
That I know.
Well, it's not it's an easy question and a hard one all in one. I thought we had a lot more chances than we scored last year. We had a lot of guys that, their shooting percentage was probably lower than normal. Our team shooting percentage was low. But I think there are areas that we can get better at, and we've really analyzed that part of our game. And like I said, we didn't just challenge the players, we challenged the coaches to find areas that we can improve. And I'm not going to get into details of our system and our structure of how we think we can improve, but I think there are definitely areas that we can get better at. And in the offensive zone, whether it's off the rush, whether it's our defensemen being part of the rush, there's a lot that goes into it. And but we're not going to deviate from being a 200-foot team. I think there's a certain style of hockey that helps you win, and teams that are good in both ends of the rink. You don't have to look any further than the Florida Panthers. They're not just an offensive team. They're very strong on the puck. They're strong in their own zone. They're good defensively, and yet they're good offensively as well.
Do you think, one thing about the Florida Panthers, they'll play any way you want? Is that the kind of team you have to become, that you'll play the opposition any way they want? Or?
Well, we've definitely talked a lot about that. We've talked about being a team that's hard to play against right from day one of last year. I think we took steps in that department. There's a lot that goes into being hard to play against. And it always starts with your work ethic, your compete level. It's not just about fighting and hitting. There's a lot of elements that go into that. I thought we took a step, and I still think we can take another one.
Do you envision maybe splitting the starts between Allmark and Maryline this year, obviously?
First of all, I haven't envisioned who's going to split. There's competition for every position on the team. So if it's Levy, we'll see. Petey has a big say in how that is, but Linus is a good goalie. I still project him to play a lot of games, and a lot of that'll come down to how he feels, and we definitely don't want to tax him too much. It's going to be a shortened season, and someone else is going to have to play, and 30 to 35 games. I don't know what the number is exactly. So you can go into a season thinking all you want, but we don't have it down to an exact number. That's for sure.
Do you expect Linus to be your starter this year?
That's a pretty safe bet.
You both said it's going to be harder to make the playoff, and the players said it in the last few days as well. Is there a part, Travis, of your job this year that should or could be easier, knowing that you've established the culture you've talked a lot about since last year?
Well, that's definitely something that we can hang our hat on. The one thing we try to be is very open and honest with our team within, teaching, learning, whatever, coaching. And we've talked to our group, already. We just had a meeting about it's not easy to make the playoffs. But the one thing about our team is I think they have a strong understanding of that. They understand the improvements that they've made, that they have made it. They're not afraid to work, they're not afraid to compete, and they're not afraid to be coached. So, I sit here today saying I think they've learned a lot. I think they understand that it's not going to get easier, it gets harder. Everyone says they want to win a Stanley Cup. It's hard to do. It's not easy. And you got to sacrifice a lot. You got to do a lot of things to do it.
Travis, another question just about training camp. Has there ever been a singular moment or an action that's changed your mind about a player, whether making the team or being released from the team?
Yeah, there has. There's been guys that have just, they show up and, first impressions are important. If you come into a camp and you're vastly out of shape and you're not ready to play, that says a lot. It says a lot about your commitment. It says a lot about how bad you want to win, how bad you want to play, and quite honestly, those are the kind of players that we don't want on the Ottawa Senators. And yet I have had experiences like that in the past, and that's unfortunate. And then there's always guys that come in that they turn your head, and they've had a great camp. They've put in, it's not necessarily one player, one moment, but over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, someone can really win you over.
Any example you can share about the positive one?
I don't know if one jump. Last year Gods was a good example. Like Gaudette came in, and I don't think anyone anticipated that he'd be on the team. And he had a pretty good year for us, and we're happy for him that he moved on and got a good contract for himself. But that, I think, that happens a lot.
And did the first impressions already happen today, or is that mostly tomorrow on the ice?
Yeah, no, I haven't. Not today. We definitely, we just did testing, but we'll learn a lot. That's what training camp's all about. It's not a given that you're just on the team, but obviously there's some guys that are, and that's why you have your camp with more than one team.
Steve, are you able to provide an update on Max Connect's situation?
Nothing to report on Maxim.
Is there, apologies if this has already been asked before, but is there a status update on a potential new contract for Shane Pinto, who will be an RFA at the end of the year?
I had discussions with his agent. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago now. The thought is it was positive dialogue. They felt like getting the season started, not having it a distraction, was the way that they wanted to go. They know I'm open to discuss it at any time. We talked about Shane, and he's an important part to this team, and I look forward to having more discussions to make him part of this core moving forward.
Would you like to have a contract in place before the season starts? How are you envisioning that?
I think timeline, Julian, it kind of takes on its own. We'll continue to discuss things and see where it goes. It takes two sides to come to an agreement. I don't say that in any. There's good dialogue moving forward on Shane, and I'm hoping it's just a matter of time, but I really couldn't put a timeline on it.
What are your thoughts on Shane Pinto's potential and what he could be as a player? Obviously, he played a lot of third-line minutes, did a lot of great things defensively. What do you see about Shane Pinto as a complete player? Where do you think he can go?
Well, I think, like I said, same thing about a lot of players on our team. There's room to grow. He's taken steps every year in the league. He's definitely been, as far as matchups, he's really learned that side of the game. And I think there is room to grow. Can he be a consistent 25 goal scorer? You've got to put time in the league to find out and do that. But he's a dedicated kid. He works hard on his craft. He wants to be his best version of himself. And, those are elements that you have to have if you want to continue to grow and get better. But I definitely think he's capable of improving and becoming even better player than he is now.
Can you go into more detail about how valuable Shane Pinto is in the center position, particularly against opposing players for matchups?
Yeah, he is. As far as going into it, any team that wants to have a reliable guy that they know when they put on the ice. There's matchups that you look for in every game, and he's a big part of that. And not just him, but the rest of his line mates. But he did a good job of that last year. He was a great matchup guy, and he's still going to get better at it, though.
This is something every single team in the league will be dealing with, but the fact that the Olympics are happening this year and that a couple of players, from your team are likely going to be there, does that impact anything on how you guys work this season? How do you manage things?
I mean, yeah, the season's going to be condensed. Like, you're going to be playing a lot of games, so you're going to have to manage practice time, ice time maybe, depending on the game. A lot of that happens in the heat of a game. You've got to, depending where you're at, you got to try to win the game first and foremost. But there's not much else you can manage, to be honest. You want to win, and you got to be mindful of not overtaxing players. And as far as the break goes, that's just part of it.
Are you planning on?
Oh, sorry. Is anyone else injured? Other than Jensen? Is everyone else?
Lars Eller had a minor procedure, so he's working his way back and will be skating with the group. We're just not sure exactly when.
Minor procedure on what?
His abdomen.
Are you planning on adding anyone through PTOs through camp?
We've kept it open. There hasn't been anything that has made sense for us at this point. We like the depth of the camp. We like the numbers, and there's enough competition in each area where I don't think we need to add numbers to it. But we'll be mindful of any opportunities that might come up.
Are you aware of any of these online accusations that have come against one of your players, Arthur Kaliev? Their ex-girlfriend has been accusing him of financial manipulation and verbal abuse. Do you have any comment?
Yeah, we're aware of it, and it's being monitored, but there's nothing to it, is what we've been told. So yeah, I don't really have more to say on it, but other than that.
Brady celebrated his 26th birthday, and now he's entering the prime of his career. What will be the ceiling of a guy with his attributes, knowing what he did in the phase of being him at this time of his career?
Brady's ceiling, I mean, it continues to he continues to move in the right direction. I think the right direction. The maturity from this player over the 2 years that I've been here has been incredible. The maturity from a leadership perspective, his game management, like he's a bit of a unicorn in our league. And when you want something that badly, the way that he does, to win on a nightly basis, it's been impressive to watch him mature over the years and how he's been able to continue to lead this group. But you don't find players like this, and we know that. And I think that he continues to get better. And like I said, not maturity on the leadership side, but maturity in his game as well.
Steve, can I just clarify something at Formenton? Are you trying to trade his rights, or will you renounce his rights?
We would gauge the market to see if there's a trade. Yeah.
This time last year, the goal for you guys was to make the playoffs. Obviously, you did. Hearing Travis talk today and Brady Tkachuk a couple weeks ago, the goal now is to do more than just make the playoffs. What does it mean to you both to see these expectations in real time rise after the success you had last year, considering what this organization has had for almost a decade where they didn't make the playoffs?
Well, I think those are my expectations as well, that you never really know the timeline, and it's never a straight line. There's always going to be some bumps in the road. But I'll take you back to sort of day one or year one, where you take an honest evaluation of the team, and when you saw the core and what they were all about, they just hadn't had the chance really. And you look to stabilize the situation for them, and then you look to sort of watch it progress, and you make some strategic moves in and around the group and support them as best as you can. So yeah, the expectation is to always get better every year. That's what we're in it for. We want to push this group, and it does take time. Like, you can't come into the league as a 21 or 22-year-old and have your way. It takes time, and it's an exciting time for our fans who have watched these young players grow up and now start to turn the corner and get into those years where now they've had some playoff experience. So it's an exciting time. We fully understand how difficult it's going to be. We have optimism, but certainly we need to make sure that we understand how hard it's going to be on a nightly basis for this group. But expectations, I guess, the best way to answer that is you'd rather have real expectations on your group rather than just hoping for it.
I guess maybe my question is, how do you go from good to great? Like, you guys to become a playoff team. That's obviously the goal, but obviously you guys want to become cup contenders at some point. Like, how do you make that jump?
And that's the next step. I mean, my responsibility is to look for players that can continue to support this group or help this group, which I feel like we have done. There's internal growth. Travis has taken it upon himself to challenge himself and the coaches to get better in certain areas. We're all looking to get better, each department. The scouting, the pro scouting staff, myself, the coaches, the players, we're all in it. The strength and conditioning program has taken a big step forward. The medical side of things is always a big thing, a little bit of luck involved, but we've taken all the steps, and Michael Andlauer has allowed us to put a ton of resources into making sure that we're better in that area. So there's all these areas, Alex, like try and look at each area and try and get a little bit better in, and that's going to be the difference, because the margin in this league, as you see on a nightly basis, it's wild. Like, I mean, you can on any given night. So we're working diligently. We don't advertise, we don't talk a lot about it, but each area of the organization has been challenged, and we feel like we've made improvements in a number of areas.
Now that you know what your roster looks like and you've made the improvements you feel you've made, how does Claude Giroux fit on this roster? We know what he means to the players in that room, but considering where he's at in his career, how does he fit on this team? Where does he fit?
Same place he fit last year. On the team. If you're asking me how much he's going to play, is that what you're asking me, or you're asking me where he fits?
Yeah, like where
He fits. He's on the team.
Not like we know he's gonna be on the team, but like,
Right.
do you see him as like a top line guy? Do you see him?
Again, like when you ask me about where a player is going to play, how much he's going to play, we talked about Zetterlund earlier.
Mm-hmm.
G's going to decide that. Players are going to ultimately decide how much they play. G didn't just all of a sudden wake up and decide that, you know what, I only want to play 10 minutes a night. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he's not that type of guy.
No, he's not. And that's why we love him. And here's a guy that played, I don't know, what did he play last year? 18 minutes a night, something like that. First penalty kill, power play. I'm not coming into camp in my head thinking, okay, Claude Giroux is going to play 12 minutes a night this year. No. But Claude Giroux is not like any other player on our team. We've challenged every guy to come back and be better. And I can tell you what, G's put the work in. He's had an honest evaluation about his game and how he can improve, and he's worked at it. I'm expecting G to be good this year. And I can tell you what, he ain't coming in here thinking he's going to be worse. And again, he's going to decide how much he plays, much like the rest of the guys. You play well, you play more.
How much is that philosophical or just something that you try to impose upon the team that the best players play, no matter if you're Coach Giroux or whoever, that they fight and make
Yeah, I mean I think the one thing we've tried to do when we come in here is be open and honest as coaches here. And when we show video sessions, it's not just the guys that are bottom end players. It's everyone's got to improve if you want to get better. And we also have a group that's very coachable. Like, they understand that and they accept accountability. They have character. They understand that if you play well, you play, and if you don't, you might not. And that's just the way it is. And I think good teams have that. The guys that play well play the most, and the guys that don't, they play a little less. And we've got good players, and they're gonna decide a lot of these. I get the buzz, and I like who's gonna play here, and I get that, and I appreciate it. And I have the same. I'm really looking forward to camp this year. I'm not sitting here BSing you and saying, I don't know where this guy. Like, I don't know who's gonna play with Timmy, and yet we're gonna find out.
Are you a guy who doodles lines? You know what I mean? Like, you sit there with a pen and paper and doodle lines and thinks maybe I should try this or maybe I should try that.
We got a lot of restaurant napkins that end up in the coach's room the next morning. But at the end of the day, once you're in the season, you kind of know where a guy's at. Like, you know how a player's playing and you adjust accordingly. But I think when you come to a training camp like this, where you've got a lot of young players still, you know, again, like, it's not just that, it's not just, like, Timmy could be, like, I'm hoping Tim's a better player this year. And I hope Sandy's a better player this year. And I think he will be. So that's the exciting part of training camp this year is, you know, you've asked about how we're going to get better. Well, we're going to play better because our guys are going to improve. And I'm looking forward to it as much as everyone else.
And Travis, tomorrow when we do see the groupings, the three groups, what's your method to splitting people up?
The secret method. Yeah, we just try to make the teams fair. And we're not necessarily getting hung up on, when you see the lines, I wouldn't get too hung up on them. We've got 2 teams out there, so, but I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis on the lines being anything other than what they are for the first day or 2.